Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us this evening. Our speaker and guest is Joachim Dekkers, who will present himself, but most of us already know is the chairman of the UAP Coalition the Netherlands. Joachim, it's all in your hands.
All right, thank you, Eduardo, and hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. My name is Joachim Dekkers. I'm the founder and chairman, together with my colleague, board member André Jol, who is also present. We're proud to present UAP Coalition the Netherlands, or UAP CNL for short. Our organization is dedicated to advancing stigma-free scientific research, raising professional awareness, and developing sensible policies for unidentified anomalous phenomena, or as we all know it, UAP. So we operate with a serious, no-nonsense approach to this topic. We focus entirely on facts, security, and safety within both the Netherlands and the wider European Union. So let us begin with a look at who we are as an entity. So UAP CNL was officially founded on October 30th, 2023. We registered as a non-profit foundation based in the Netherlands. Immediately, we also received the official ANBI status, which means we are recognized by the Dutch government as a public benefit foundation. And we also maintain a valid status within the EU Transparency Register, which fully qualifies us to engage in legal and ethical lobbying activities with European institutions. So everything that we do is driven by 4 core values, which is professionalism, which means we use expert systems and high integrity, transparency in all our public actions, innovation, which means we promote to utilize the best modern technology, and safety, because protecting the witnesses who speak to us is our highest priority, of course. So who exactly do we represent? Well, we focus on highly trained observers, for example, civil aviation pilots and flight crews, police officers who are on patrol, military personnel from the armed forces. These professionals, as you all know, see unusual objects, but they struggle to report them. So our primary goal is to provide them with a complete, safe, quiet, and confidential space where they can report what they saw without fearing for their jobs or reputations. And we have a successful ambassador program, which basically means people who are active. For example, if we stick to aviation, it's possible that we have a few pilots who are ambassadors for UAP Coalition Netherlands. They listen inside their organization, and if they hear anybody, colleagues speaking about UAP, they start a conversation and let them know who we are, what we're doing, and that they can have a conversation with one of our ambassadors, or directly report their sighting to us. So why do we do this? Let's look at the core problems we face. Right now, professionals, as you all know, face a double challenge. They have no official reporting channels, and if they speak up, they often face social and professional stigma. So this lack of reporting is dangerous because it leaves us blind to what is happening in our airspace. And that's a threat to both flight safety and also security. So our vision is to replace this fear with solid, structured scientific research, ensuring that all these professionals that we represent, and also the ones that we don't represent, because most of them haven't come forward yet, that they can share their data or their experience and everything else that they want to talk about regarding what they saw freely, so that we can keep the Dutch and European airspace safe and secure. So, and now it's something that Eduardo spoke to us about before we started this presentation, is that what's the difference in the strategic handling of this topic between what we're doing here in the European Union and the United States. So that's a key point. So in the US, the debate, with all the respect to our US colleagues, is sensationalized. So it focuses heavily on speculative origins like non-human intelligence or extraterrestrial. And I want to emphasize, of course, not all organizations, but this is how we see it here, at least from our perspective in the European Union, most of the time. So while this gets headlines, it pushes practical flight safety and air security into the background, and that causes political friction. So we saw in 2017 when Commander Favre and Dietrich came forward, and a New York Times article, everything was focused heavily on flight safety and national security, but that has shifted, and that causes political friction. So in European Union, we're taking a different path. We only focus on safety, removing stigma, and security. So this professional approach has opened doors for us in Brussels and The Hague, which allows us to represent the UAP case without being ridiculed or, for example, being sidelined when giving feedback on consultation rounds from the European Commission. So also this approach gives us opportunities to build serious relationships with politicians and decision makers, which in turn provides them with a safety net for their careers, as stigma is also present in those circles. So, for example, on our news page, we share when we had a meeting with a member of the European Parliament, if they agreed to have that publicly announced. The majority of the meetings we had were, if we keep it in aviation terms, under the radar because of the stigma. And it's important that not only us, but all of us work hard to get rid of that issue. So what exactly are our goals? So we have three main objectives to help organize the UAP field. First, we want to promote centralized reporting hubs that are recognized by governments in not only the Netherlands, but also in the European Unions and therefore the member states. We all know Japan, but we feel that in every member state of the European Union, there should be one, and even broader, of course. But hey, we're just a small organization. We're doing the best we can. And second, we want to help create official policy and rules for UAP reporting, so that there's a standard way to document the sightings. And third, we want to integrate UAP data directly into existing systems, such as the European Union Aviation Safety Agency, or EASA. That's the European equivalent of the American FAA. And this will treat UAP sightings as a standard safety category, just like weather or technical hazards. And of course, this all within a stigma-free environment. And achieving that goal with regards to the reporting category is something that we're working hard to achieve that because we feel it's important. So how do we turn these objectives into reality? Our strategy relies on three main activities. First, we build direct and professional dialogue with the Dutch ministries, such as the Ministry of Defense and the Ministry of Infrastructure and Water, which is the ministry that takes or is responsible for aviation safety in the Netherlands, so in Dutch airspace, which is also the Caribbean, of course, because we have a few municipalities there. Also, second, we work alongside independent safety organizations like the Dutch Safety Board, or OVV, to make sure these sightings are analyzed with serious objective methods. And the Dutch Safety Board is a Dutch organization which has the mandate from the Dutch government to investigate train accidents or airplane accidents. And unfortunately, the most famous one is the terrible shoot down of flight number MH17 in Ukraine. I think it was Ukraine airspace. Yeah. So Third, we raise awareness by attending lectures, panels, conferences, and seminars. And as you can see, there's a small picture of us in Brussels, in the European Center, where we had a meeting with Lucas Mandel, one of the members of parliament, who didn't mind being public about the meeting. And of course, the other picture is well known by some others. We see Eduardo there, and from the Hesdalen project, and also from Zond, the Ukrainian UAP organization. And it was on a Friday night, or I think it was a Friday night, yeah. And we had a wonderful pizza, and all arranged by Eduardo, and it was absolutely fantastic. So yeah. Anyway, so just to give you some examples of what we've been up to, and I want to emphasize we're a volunteer organization, so it's a lot of work as volunteers. We have a fantastic team. Everybody's putting in a lot of time and effort to achieve our goals. So now I want to take the time and share a summary of our recent strategic engagement efforts, basically across 4 pillars. So addressing stigma, advancing aviation safety, nuclear policy, and education. So starting with the stigma research. So our focus here is on visibility and institutional change. So as most of you are aware, because most of you also signed the feedback on the European Research Act, we successfully mobilized 36 co-signers for that European Commission EU Research Act, which was proposed last year. The European Union, they want to harmonize research in the European Union, so they had a consultation round. And what was really special about all of us coming together is that all of us are coming together, and that we all filed this feedback together. So basically ensuring that the UAP stigma perspective would be formally recognized. And furthermore, our direct meetings with the European Commission, that also signals a shift in stigma in how stigma within the research is being acknowledged at policy-making levels, so for the European Commission. So for example, last year, December, we had a meeting with the European Commission, and it was Dr. Beatrice Villarroel and Dr. Anders Warel who were present. And Beatrice gave a brief presentation on our transient findings. And my colleague Andre, who was in the room with the people from the European Commission, notably saw how they had a difficult time processing what Beatrice found in her studies. So that shows what the stigma part, and that they really had to get used to, the research findings in this case of Beatrice. So in aviation safety, we're also seeing significant progress. Something that we are all very proud of is that the Dutch Safety Board decided to acknowledge UAP and receive reports. That's a major breakthrough, which legitimizes our focus area. And we're leveraging this momentum through ongoing meetings with the Dutch Ministry of Infrastructure and Water Management. That's a long road ahead of us, but we're making small steps. And also EU-level bodies like the European Union Aviation Safety Agency. My goodness, what a word. I would prefer to say EASA, but it's important that everybody knows the acronym. And the representatives from the European Commission. That's more challenging, but we're working hard to ensure our safety concerns are integrated also in those broader regulatory frameworks. Now, regarding the nuclear policy, we're all aware there seems to be a link between UAP and nuclear critical infrastructures or nuclear powered vessels. So we're positioning ourselves as a serious stakeholder on that topic as well. Just an example, our engagement with the Dutch Nuclear Authority. that has opened a constructive channel for oversight dialogues. I met them at the beginning of this year, gave a presentation. So that contact is ongoing. Simultaneously, by providing formal feedback to both the US and European Commission nuclear consultations, we're ensuring that these data and safety considerations are part of the international regulatory conversation as well. The United States and the European Union is now focusing on SMRs, which are small modular reactors. And we provided feedback both stateside in the US and within the European Commission as well. So finally, this is new. In education, we're moving from theory to practice. We have a cooperation with a Dutch vocational college. So what we're doing there is we're embedding our core mission into the citizenship curriculum. So we're ensuring that the next generation is informed, engaged, and learns to navigate a complex information society. And the goal of these guest lectures that we're giving is to reinforce important skills such as source analysis, recognizing stigmas, and carefully forming one's own judgment, especially with all the fake news and AIs nowadays. So these are just an example of what we've been doing, but we feel collectively that this is a good demonstration of our commitment and what we're trying to achieve. So, governance and ethics, important, because to ensure that we maintain a high trust with government bodies, we operate with strict governance and ethical codes. So our foundation is led by an active board of at least 3 qualified members. You now have met me, or you know me already. Andre, Bram is also a member. And besides that, we use dedicated expert groups to manage, for example, technical data or other policies. And we've also established a formal good governance code to ensure that the decision-making is ethical and prevent any conflict of interest. And financially, we operate with transparency. We're not very financially strong, but that doesn't withhold us from, trying to achieve our goals. So yeah, all our funding, whether from subsidies, which we don't get at the moment, donations. At the moment, the only thing that we're receiving is donations, or gifts, is just tracked carefully and reported publicly to protect our long-term integrity. So we publish all these things, our year report and our financial status. We publish it online on our website if you want to go through them. So in conclusion, we act as a factual, serious bridge between airspace operators, the scientific community, and national policymakers, and of course, the other UAP organizations. We're not interested in sensational media stories. We're just focused on safety, science, and security. Like I said, we're proud to work with groups like EuroUFO and UAP Check, but all the others who are working hard to normalize the UAP topic. So we can finally get rid of stigma and live in a world where it is safe to say you saw something strange. And we invite you to visit our website, read our papers, and see more of our activities. And yeah, that was our presentation. So thank you for your time, and we're happy to answer any questions.